of Honor Museum. Join the mission at mohmuseum.org. And by SWBC Mortgage. Customized solutions to help you meet your personal and business goals. Visit SWBC.com. Now, your hosts, Nate Newton and Kevin Gray.
No Kevin Gray today, but it is a Cowboy Wednesday, a victorious Cowboy Wednesday. It's Cowboys Crosstalk. I'm your host this week, Chris Arnold from 105.3 The Fan, with the host himself, Nathaniel Newton, and he's got a special guest. He's a Super Bowl MVP. The last time the Cowboys went to the Super Bowl and won it, Larry Brown is in the house.
That sounds too far long ago. Don't say the last time, man.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
They're grown men ain't never seen a Cowboy in the Super Bowl.
It's been a while.
But guess what? We are in a victorious mode because who'd have thunk it? The Dallas Cowboys knocked off a team that went to the Super Bowl last February. Cincinnati Bengals go down at AT&T Stadium 20-17. Nate, did you see that coming? Most people didn't.
I felt we had opportunity. You know, every week, Larry, you know, we line up and you feel within the house that you have a chance. And fortunate for us, they were going through some of the same pains. The offensive line is a question. Your quarterback didn't get a lot of work during the preseason. Sacks, abundance of sacks, and abundance of turnovers. So we took advantage of that defensively, even though it hurt us in the fourth quarter with them 8.5 minutes. Kellen Moore mixed it up a little bit offensively on the offensive line, gave some different looks. So I knew we had an opportunity. I feel now that we won, I can just say without a doubt, I thought we was going to win.
Yeah, you can say that now. A lot of people can say that now. I swear to God, I sure didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
Larry Brown, did you see a Cowboys victory? Did you see him getting this thing started 1-1?
No, I didn't see that victory coming, but I did see something that I did appreciate during the week. Obviously, I think 2 weeks in, you can say the defense against a good Tampa offense is legit. Come back against a very good Cincinnati offense, they're legit. The one thing that I didn't see coming was Mike McCarthy challenging Kellen Moore. Obviously, when you have a backup, you have to be creative and do things. But I thought that Mike McCarthy coming out earlier in the week just saying, hey, look, we have to be more aggressive. This is prior to losing Dak. Like, hey, so I thought they did. And they didn't come out super conservative with Cooper Rush. And so defense did its part, did what they need to do, and offense scored enough points to win the game.
Well, let's talk about that offense before we talk about the defense, sticking with the offense. And you mentioned the game plan with Kellen Moore. Cooper Rush making his first start this season, his second start last year in Minnesota. He had more weapons. And you mentioned they were aggressive. Nate, I thought that fourth down play, that pass to Noah Brown was the key to the entire victory because they were aggressive. It was 4th and 2 on the Cowboys' end of the field and then pass completion. Can you talk about Cooper Rush, Noah Brown, and what you thought the offensive play was like?
I think, and a lot of people are correcting me, Larry and Chris, that I'm saying this kid looked decisive. And they said, well, it was the game plan. They say, they had set plays that they didn't want them to change and guys needed to be where they needed to be. But he did not hesitate on that 4th and 2 as a quarterback releasing that ball. And so, and all during the game, even the batted ball that was supposed to go to the young tight end, it got batted, but Noah got it. I mean, he was decisive in where he was going. So when they did that 4th and 2 and they made it happen and Noah was willing to lay out for his boy that day, I knew we had a chance. My belief started growing at that point.
There it is. That's right.
Yep.
Hey, LB, what did you think about the chemistry of Noah Brown and Cooper Rush? Because they've been together for years on that practice squad off and on. And so they got better chemistry than probably Cooper Rush and the rest of the receivers.
Absolutely. That gets lost sometimes. When you're a backup and you're doing backup reps with the backup, you do it every day. You're getting 80%. So sometimes that get lost. When a backup becomes a starter, you hadn't had much work at all with that starter. Timing, everything's off. And the starter isn't going and saying, hey, backup, come out here and run routes for me.
Right.
Normally the starting quarterback is going to the starting receiver saying, hey, can you run routes with me after practice? But when you're a backup, it's the backup quarterback going to the backup receiver saying, hey, let's stay after practice. So I wasn't surprised about the chemistry because they've worked quite a bit together.
Can you talk about the difference, Nate, between Cooper Rush and Dak Prescott as far as Cooper Rush was throwing the ball rather quickly. I'm not saying he's got the same talent as Dak Prescott because he doesn't. But can you talk about the way he plays on the field. I'm not going to say off the field because everybody knows Dak Prescott is a dynamic leader.
Right.
And everybody to a man in that locker room was telling me, oh, Cooper Rush is great. He's quiet, calm. In fact, somebody called him Kawhi Leonard for a minute. Not talent-wise, but just real quiet.
Yeah.
Can you talk about on the field, though, the difference in the way they throw the ball and drive the team down the field?
And that's what I was talking about earlier. He seemed like he was sharp. He was precise, and he knew where he wanted to go to the ball. He believed his receivers was going to be there, and they were for the most part. Now, people say, well, you know, this tap and this. Well, you know, taps and tips and all of that happens every game.
Yes.
It's just you have to limit those things. To hear, I heard Zeke talk about him on NFL Network saying even when he's not starting, he's walking around giving nuggets to players on offense, nuggets to even him, like, hey, man, look for this. This is what I saw in the film. So the guy is, what's the word, cerebral?
Yes,
is that the word? Yeah.
Yes.
So
esoteric.
yeah. Wow. That's great. That's coming from
Vocabulary,
a Kappa.
man.
That comes from a Kappa, man. I thought the Qs was the smart guy. No, I'm just
No, not
joking.
them.
Not them. They kind of woof. But
Hey,
anyway,
woof.
I like this kid, and my question, Larry, always been all week to everybody that's got a quarterback's mind: is it more to come, or is this about it for him? You know, for
Right.
Cooper, for as what he can do and lead the team. So, Larry, I'm gonna throw this over to Larry. Is it more to come?
Here's what I think. Going back to Dak, when you're the highest paid guy on the team, there's a lot they want you to do. All the checks, all the protection, so much is going on every play at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
But when you're the backup, they say, hey, you know what? We're going to take all that off you. Here's our plays called. We got a couple of blitz checks in here so you can just play football. And I think in today's game, sometimes they do put too much on the quarterback where you're asking him to be the offensive coordinator every single play. And I think you see a lot of that with Dak, with the checking at the line, this and moving that. Cooper Rush, hey, we called the play. If they decide to blitz, we already have some stuff built in. Let's just play football so you can play faster. And I think that's by scaling back sometime. I know it sounds crazy. There was times where we
Keep it simple, stupid.
keep it simple so you can play faster.
Yes.
And I thought they did that with Cooper Rush.
Can you talk about Cooper Rush being on this team a while? Both of you guys have had quarterbacks who come in to back up Troy Aikman, and they would come in from another team, Bernie Kosar, for example, and they had to immediately put him out on the field. Can you say something about the continuity, and Nate, especially with you, since you played offense on that offensive line? The continuity of a quarterback been on the roster for a while and having to absorb a game plan real quick.
You know, the first thing, you got to get his rhythm. Hut, all of that's different.
Yeah, you don't want a bunch of flags.
Yeah. The way he called plays, you know, and who he's talking to the majority of the time, because he probably looking at like Troy used to do. He'll be calling a play for Alvin and looking at Mike. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just trying to learn this guy. But this guy been on our roster for 6 years. He knows the offense, and like I said, I believe this. Last week, he was the backup quarterback. This is your starter. This is your guy. So what can they do to help him? How can he adjust mentally for himself? And now what can the offensive line do as far as improving themselves? As you know, and that is the key. And this is going to go beyond this guy. It's going to go with Dak. If our offensive line has to hurry up and get good, they're just okay right now. They're going to have to hurry up and get good.
And I want to say one last thing, Chris, that gets lost. Cooper Rush played at Central Michigan.
Yes.
That's a pro-style offense.
Yes.
They actually huddled up and ran plays. So, and today, where it's a spread game and nobody gets in a huddle, nobody calls plays, I think some of that also contributed to him coming out of a pro-style system out of college into an NFL system. I think that also paid dividends for him.
Let me tell y'all something. That 20-17 victory, I could not see that coming. Actually, I thought they flipped it what I predicted for this season. They started off 2-0, but 1-1. I thought the Cowboys would sneak up and beat Tampa Bay 17-14. I thought the offense could scramble up 17 points with Dak. But with Cooper Rush and the fact that only CeeDee Lamb, out of all the wide receivers in that room that were healthy, only one has got an NFL touchdown. I was like, wait a minute. They're not going to be able to score a touchdown. They scored touchdowns in their first 2 drives. I was going to ask you, Larry, on this wide receiver group, because none of them are really experienced. Michael Gallup's going to be coming back. Right. CeeDee Lamb is trying to grow into that number 88, trying to be a dominant X, trying to be a one receiver. Can you talk about CeeDee Lamb's game and the fact that Cooper Rush was working with a bunch of guys? I'm going to call them a committee right now, but Noah Brown been showing out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd say most of the guys that played, with the exception of CeeDee Lamb, Cooper's been working with because they're backups.
There you go.
So I think that there's some chemistry from there. I think CD will settle in, his new role of trying to be the number one guy, how they're going to play him. Now, you got to prove you can be that number one guy, but I think it'll come in time. And as Kellen Moore figure out, how we're going to run this offense, who we're going to run it through. Is Pollard a running back? Is he a receiver? I mean, what are we going to do here? So I think some of that goes back to offensive identity. And the more they get to that point to decide what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, I think CD will take off.
I'm glad you brought up Tony Pollard because, Nate, I was going to ask you about that running game. A lot of people thought, okay, if they're going to steal a game against the Bengals, they're going to have to run it down their throat, a lot of Zeke. Now, they were running the ball. There was some balance there. But Tony Pollard showed the Tony Pollard from not just last year but the year before. Can you talk about TP and Zeke and what they did to help Cooper Rush and Kellen Moore in this offense?
This game here, when people say creativity, I look at it in more than one way. And Larry does too from a defensive standpoint, a cornerback. I look at it from offensive line. They helped our offensive lineman by blocking the tight end down, pulling the tackle around, putting the center around. And they did that several times because we don't have our left tackle is a Mueller, our right guard is a Mueller, and our right tackle is a Mueller. But our left guard and center are not maulers.
Right.
So we blocked down, we pulled around, we got outside, and they finally, and that's what I'm saying, using the personnel, that's Tony Pollard. Find ways to get him on the edge.
Yes.
And not run a reverse, but run Tony Pollard to the edge and get him on the edge and let him take that one step and cut up. And he can be successful. And Zeke's still your hammer.
Yes.
Zeke's, and you can
Dirty
get Zeke,
yards.
You can get Zeke something outside, but that ain't what he going to do. Put Zeke right in the inside cheek of both of them tackles and let him hammer that. And see, wasn't going to give that up inside. Last week, Cincinnati had a squad. They wasn't giving that up.
Right.
They had Hill and Reeder. These are some mules sitting up in some bulls, so they wasn't giving it up. So you got on the edge. You gave them something they normally don't give up. They're a very disciplined defense, Cincinnati.
So let's talk about that offensive line. Larry, you can come in on this as well. Tyler Smith showed up again. This rookie has stepped in for Tyron Smith at left tackle. You know something about left tackle or left guard.
Right.
He's been doing his job while we wait on Jason Peters. Oh, Jason Peters. Jason Peters, 40 years old. By the way, Jason Peters looked like he's about 28.
Right.
He don't look like a 40-year-old
Yeah.
man. I don't see a gray hair on his face or in his hair.
I guess you call him it.
Yeah. Got that endorsement. But, yeah, Larry, what do you think about the offensive line play, especially
Number one,
the rookie?
I think it's great to see whenever you see young guys playing well and getting experience, you get better by playing. Bottom line, experience. And it's great to see him doing that. It's also good to see a commitment to an offensive line. In other words, if you're going to be a running team, you have to be committed to running the ball. That means that sometimes you're not going to pop them. Sometimes it's going to be some 3 and outs. But we're going to keep pounding you, and we're going to keep laying on you. So, I thought they had a greater commitment to the run last week against Cincinnati than they did Tampa. So I wasn't surprised to see Tony eventually pop one because that's how it goes. People assume that, every time you run it, you're gonna get 20, 30 yards. It's not. Sometimes they're going to stop you, but we're going to keep committed, and we're going to break your will. We're going to keep leaning on you. Come third, fourth quarter, you're tired of getting leaned on, and boom, there they go right there. So it was good to see Kellen Moore be a little bit more committed to the run.
Nate, the offensive line?
The thing is, I'm giving the young left tackle, I'm giving him like a B- because his awareness of he still got to know when his help is coming and take advantage of his help. He can get forward and grind you up. But we need for you to be a little bit better on your pass sets.
How's his footwork?
It's getting better. He's
Right.
getting more of a sense of urgency. But one time he just let a guy inside because he didn't know that Simi Fehoko was going to hit a guy, and he came right in on the quarterback. So he's got to learn to work together on his twist and his stunts,
Right.
and that will get better. So his awareness is probably about a C+. But his physicalness, that's a B+.
He's 2 games into his career.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, for a B-, for a guy that's playing the most important position, that ain't bad.
Yeah, 2 games
So
into his
I'm
career.
going to give you his good, and I'm going to give you his bad, but he's holding ground.
Yes.
For him to show up and not have no reps since OTAs.
Yeah.
He's holding. Now, our left guard, it's a struggle, and it's going to stay a struggle. And sometimes we have that. Sometimes so, I mean, he gets stiff sometimes when he try to power guys off, and he'll have that problem this coming week, and he'll have it all the way. But I hear Peters, in a week or so, maybe easing into the mix.
Maybe by that Washington game. Hey, we just getting started. It's Cowboys Crosstalk here at the Cowboys Club at the Star. I'm Chris Arnold. Star of the show is Nate Newton. Larry Brown, Super Bowl MVP's in the house. When we come back, we're going to talk some defense. You can't talk Cowboys defense without saying Micah. That's next.
Broadcasting live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco.
And we are back. I'm Chris Arnold, your host this week from 105.3 The Fan. Star of the show is Big Newton, number 61, Nathaniel Newton. Nate Newton's in the house. And
That's
our special
right,
guest this week is Super Bowl MVP Larry Brown, LB.
Yes, sir.
TCU. How about them horn frogs?
How about them frogs, baby?
How about them frogs? At SWBC, customized solutions for individuals and businesses are just a click away. Visit SWBC.com to learn more and start your next adventure. Man, how about them Cowboys? You see, how about them frogs? Them Cowboys. Let me tell you something. Most people said, oh, no Dak, all these other injuries, they ain't going nowhere. The Cowboys shocked the world on Sunday, beating the Cincinnati Bengals, who won the AFC, went to the Super Bowl last year. Now, we knew the Bengals had some problems with the offensive line. By the way, I don't know if you heard about this, Nate.
Mm-hmm.
Can't nobody find Lyle Collins today. I'm serious. You think I'm making this up? You got these reporters, it's all on Twitter. Got the reporters at practice for the Bengals. They're like, where's Lyle? He ain't showed up.
Wow.
He's supposed to be out here on the practice. We'll give you an update when we find. I don't know where he is. Last last we saw him, he was getting tossed by Micah Parsons.
Wow, man.
And I love me some LC. LC's my guy from Louisiana. Got to go fishing with Dak all the time. But, man, the Cowboys defense, first of all, I feel kind of bad for him. And you've had to do this before yourself, Nate. He had TJ Watt. TJ Watt.
That's it.
And he had Micah Parsons back to back. Man, that's a hard road to hoe.
Man,
You feel bad a little bit bad for LC?
I'm glad.
Boy,
Wow.
glad it wasn't you.
But and I ain't trying to toot our horn, but that's the type of competition when we play.
Yeah.
We face that type every week.
That's
So
what I'm saying.
yeah, but we wasn't beat up, and LC been some injuries.
Yeah.
His hips ain't what it used to be, and his feet definitely ain't what it. I mean, they had him like they was, what is the foxtrot where they got him spinning and twirling.
That's right.
Wow,
Like
man, the
Fred
Texas
Astaire and Ginger
the
Waters.
Texas
That's
two-step.
And Mike is
Wow.
doing it to everybody. So, in
Yeah.
all
Right.
fairness to Lyle, you're not the only one.
Okay, so we
Wow.
talk about the Cowboys defense. I said we got to talk about the Lion. The Lion, Micah Parsons, number 11. You can't stop him. They let him play wherever he wants to play. He's so smart. He just lines up on the field. He get an A gap, B gap. He with both defensive ends. He does He was spending a lot more time in outer space last year.
Right.
He was an astronaut last year,
Yeah.
linebacker.
Right.
Yeah.
Now he's like rushing the passer, and you can't stop him. LB, what can you say about Micah Parsons?
I tell you who you remind me of. I remember DeMarcus Ware, his rookie year, and I said, man, I went to him, I said, you're going to be a Pro Bowl player.
Right.
I just looked at how he moved, his athleticism. And he's like, really? DeMarcus so humble, he didn't do it. When I saw Micah, then what he could do to play inside, outside, D-line. He went out at corner and covered a running back.
Yeah,
I mean, how many
he did
linebackers
that
can do
last
that?
year.
Hey,
Yeah.
and jammed him up.
Yep.
And so I was like, whoa, this guy is the real
Right.
deal. When he learns, because he still learned the game.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you have success young, people think there's no more to learn. This guy just getting started. I mean, he's year 2, and he looked like he's playing year 7 or 8 right now. So the game's going to continue to slow down. He's a special player.
Nate, anything you want to add about Micah Parsons, who are now people are saying he's the best defensive player in the NFL, especially with T.J. Watt out with that pec injury?
I like who this kid is, and I like his demeanor. I like the things he say, and his what he does on the field is tremendous. And Larry has a story, and I have a story too. And mine is much shorter.
Okay.
Well,
So
let
let
me
me-
tell
yeah.
your story. You got a Micah story for us?
The pandemic kept me from meeting this guy and shaking his hand. And this past off season, during the OTAs or something, I saw this dude coming down the hall because we over the media over here on the far side. So I see this dude coming with one of our media guys. I look like, who is this? Who is this dude? And the close he got, the taller. I said, this dude is huge. Who is this dude? And this ain't happened to me since I played against Lawrence Taylor. All of a sudden, the hackles on my neck start rising up. Because the closer he got to me, he is so confident and so in who he is, his aura is so sweet. I'm looking, so when I finally get up on him, I'm standing as tall as I can stand. It's still one taller than this guy. Man, what, he's 6'3", 6'4", 250.
Right.
Swole, and it's nothing but cut up. He's cut up.
Yeah.
I mean, manly voice. I'm like,
Yes.
hey, Michael Parsons. Yeah, I figured that out, man. I figured that out. My whole body was vibrating, man. So that was my, I'm like, wow,
First
this dude
impression.
is a beast. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
LB, you ran into him way before he even got to Penn State?
Yes. So I met him when he was in high school.
Really?
He was on a recruiting visit to Penn State the same weekend my son was on a recruiting visit to Penn State. So my son may have been a sophomore, maybe he was a senior, or my son could have been a freshman, one or two, but he was there. So he has his whole entourage, and they had a mix-up in carts. He was committed to Penn State at that time.
Right.
So they told our group, you guys take these 2 carts,
Golf carts.
to give us a tour. And it wasn't enough carts for Micah and his crew.
Yeah.
So he decommits from Penn State that weekend.
What?
Wow.
He decommits that weekend.
He's
What is
flexing
that?
on him.
He flexing on him. Make a long story short, he ends up down the road recommitting, going. And my buddy's son played at Penn State, and he was with us on that visit that week. He said, remember that kid, man, that decommitted? Dude, this kid is, I hadn't seen anything like him.
Right.
So by default, because of what happened to my son and my buddy's son playing at Penn State, I kind of followed him at Penn State. And the kid was unbelievable. One of the best young guys I had a chance to see play. So that's my Micah Parsons stories. And some people blame my son for him decommitting from Penn State, but that's not it. But we're happy he went.
You took over the golf cart. Well, we're glad to hear. And by the way, when he first played at AT&T Stadium with Penn State, he said right then and there he wanted to play for the Cowboys. Right. He runs into Michael Irvin out at the draft. And he said, Michael, please make them pick me. And Michael says, you going to beat him, man. You going to beat him.
That sounds like Mike.
You know Mike going to be doing that.
Yeah. You know, you look, though, Chris, and you look, Larry, it's two corners saying, wow, I could have been in Dallas.
Right.
It's two corners,
everybody
man.
was thinking the Cowboys going to draft a corner.
I think Surtain
People
was
were
a Surtain,
mad.
right?
Yeah, Surtain, Patrick Surtain.
Yeah.
They thought Cowboys didn't get that corner. What are they going to do? Offensive lineman.
Right.
Micah Parsons. Oh, no, they didn't get Micah Parsons.
But that's not the first time it happened. You know, they were going to take Jane Francis.
Yeah.
When Emmett came out,
that's
they moved up Jane Francis, they take Emmett. So sometimes a little fate
man.
helps.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, we were talking about this Cowboys defense real quick here because we started with Micah, and he's a bad man. Oh, by the way, our boy, Brian Baldinger, who does these breakdowns, Baldy's breakdowns.
Yeah.
He sent out his breakdown today. He don't even call Micah no more. You know what he called him?
What?
MPP.
Right.
Michael Parsons problem. He said he a problem. He a problem for everybody in this league. He's just breaking down the plays as far as he can go. So you all call him MPP. Right. Well, this defense I already knew this much. When I remember myself, I was thinking they would beat Tampa Bay, but they would lose to Cincinnati and wind up being reversed. But I've always thought if this team is going to win double-digit games and win the division, it's going to be led by the defense. And so far, Dan Quinn got all of his systems going, even though he got some injuries. Let's talk about the other All-Pro on that defense. We always talk about Micah, but this guy had double-digit interceptions last year. He plays corner, your position. Name is Trayvon Diggs. He had a hell of a tackle. The game was tied. Here's Cincinnati trying to move the ball down the field. It was a third down situation. Talk about the hit. Micah Parsons said that was the hardest hit he ever heard a cornerback ever hit.
Well, I don't say that there now. Yeah,
that's what Micah said.
One of my hits. It ain't prime. One of my hits, but yeah. No, I think Trayvon is continuing to get better. Again, people forget he had a lot of success young. They're still growing, and I think he's going to get better every year. But if you want to be a great corner, you need somebody up front that can get to that quarterback.
Yeah.
And when you have a guy like Micah Parsons where you know he can get there, I had Charles Haley, you know that you can be aggressive. You can take chances because you have that person up there. So I think those two combinations, I just hope when the time comes around, they keep both of them, you know, because you're going to have to pay both of them.
Oh, exactly. You know, the cap will go up for those who keep worrying about it. It will be going up. Larry, you might be the perfect person to answer this question because you played opposite Deion Sanders.
Right.
And people want to say, okay, is Trayvon a shutdown corner or not? Let's compare the talents. We're not going to – everybody knows Deion's the greatest cornerback of all time.
Right.
But when you want to break down Trayvon Diggs and what kind of assets he has, one of the things that Deion was so unique, the quarterback should stop throwing his way. They wouldn't even throw over there no more. Can you talk about Trayvon versus Deion and the different kinds of styles?
I think Deion is so unique that I wouldn't remotely put Trayvon in this category. For example, Deion was a shutdown corner, a playmaking corner, right, and a guy that's dangerous with the ball once he got it in his hands, all three.
Right, oh, yeah.
Right.
So that's a triple threat. So not only can I have the ability to take you out the game, but if you throw it to me, I can pick it off and take it to the house every play.
Mm-hmm.
I think Trayvon is a playmaking corner. He doesn't always shut down. He'll give up some plays here and there, but his ability to make plays, he's for sure a playmaking corner. But they will get a few here or there. But Deion, you know, hey, let him catch one, the next one going to the house.
Can you possibly see some of these teams stop testing Trayvon and not throw his side of the field? Seem like they probably will, because sometimes he will give up big plays every now and then.
But he's a risk taker. And see, because
he used to be a wide receiver at Alabama.
For every one he gives, he'll have 6 good ones. Mm-hmm. So you can live with that and all day long because there are guys that won't take that chance. They'll play conservative. They won't get the interception. They'll knock one down here and there, but that's not how he plays. And I appreciate that, his mentality as a corner. He's a playmaker.
Okay, so Nate, before the game, Jamar Chase had some thoughts about Trayvon Diggs. Now, I don't think there was that bad of a thoughts, but he was like, he's not he said his technique wasn't perfect.
Right.
which is kind of a fact.
Basically what Larry just said.
So where I was going, and I was like, that ain't really that bad. But it says like this locker room material. Nate, can you talk about how locker room material can show up sometimes? All people need is just some words, right?
You know what? The great ones are the ones that have the potential to be great, can always find any little thing. And it digs like,
Yes.
I'll show you, maybe not with the big play, but with the tackle. I'll
sure
show
did.
you. Yeah.
And that was an
basically shut it
Alabama
down.
LSU thing.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Let's go back to the SEC.
Yeah.
He said, you are not going to do the gritty today, sir.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. Well, today is a victorious Cowboys Wednesday. This is Cowboys Crosstalk. I'm Chris Arnold, Nate Newton, Larry Brown. We'll be back with more from the Cowboys Club next on 105.3 The Fan and more.
Mortgage's Cowboys Crosstalk. Broadcasting live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco.
We're back. Chris Arnold, your guest host this week from 105.3 The Fan. Star of the show is Nate Newton, and our special guest this week, Super Bowl MVP Larry Brown, cornerback extraordinaire, SWBC Mortgage. Join the more than 120,000 customers that we've helped find their happier way home. Visit SWBCmortgage.com to find a pro today. Now, you know, we were talking about the Dallas Cowboys for a lot of people nationwide. Happily shocked that the Dallas Cowboys made the Bengals 0-2. The Cowboys are now 1-1. I'm going to tell y'all something. I was in the locker room Sunday night after the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just beat them down. And they were kind of like in shock. It was like a shock, and they were kind of stunned because there was a mass unit in there with Dak's thumb all messed up, different guys with walking boots on. It was thigh injuries, crutches. It was like, this is crazy. And they did not think they were going to get beat like that. So this is where I'm going to go with this attitude thing, because I came up here on Thursday to do some pregame interviews. in the locker room here at the start. And they had installed the offense. And Dak's out there in the middle of everything because he's the total leader. He might have hurt his thumb, but he's still out in the middle of everything. These guys come off the field, they feeling good about themselves. It's not like, oh, it's the end of the world. Fans are like, oh, the season is lost. These guys feel good like, what? This is early. That's just one game. Can you talk about the attitude you got to have to win in the NFL, especially because you got so much parity nowadays? It's like it's wide open.
Well, I think the one thing that gets lost is time. You're a pro. And I don't know a guy that's here that didn't, if you're a backup that's never dreamed of starting or become the next Tom Brady or the next Dak Prescott. It's your opportunity, and it's about stepping up. So for me, that's how Tom Brady got his career started. Bledsoe got hurt. That's how Dak got his career started. Romo got hurt. Kellen Moore got hurt. So it's all about perspective. Hey, this is my opportunity to show that I belong, to live my dreams. And if every guy has that attitude, then you're going to be fine. You're not crying because this guy's hurt. You never want to see it, but this is my time to shine.
Yeah, they were loose, confident, not overconfident, but they were like, what? We get ready to play Cincinnati. So what? What up? We're ready.
You know, and my hat's off to Coach McCarthy for this game because he did say, you know, during the week I'm going to speak with Kellen, and we're going to go over it. We're going to spend a little more time on the play selection. The offensive line evidently got with their coaches and did what they had to do along with Coach Kellen Moore. So I like it when you have the right mindset. And see, that when Jimmy came in, that was Jimmy.
Yeah.
He was looking for that bulldog. He was looking for that guy, okay, I got good enough coaches that are going to put you in position to win. What are you going to do with it? And I hear a lot with Dan Quinn players. And I use Marquise Bell, a young little rookie. Mm-hmm. You know, he say, Nate, whether it's good.
Oh, that's from your school.
Yeah, that's whether you
FAMU.
Yeah, whether you good or bad, you're going to know where you stand.
That's right.
And they have a mantra is, our job as coaches is to put you in the best position. Now, what are you going to do physically and mentally on this field? Because you're in the best position. We're giving you the stat. Larry them used to be like a reading book. You know, if you go into a formation, Larry them could call out the potential first three plays of every position. I used to be looking at them like, wow.
Preparation,
man.
Yeah.
And it makes you play faster.
Yes.
And the game slow down to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So it goes back to coaching, putting you in a position, as Nate said, to be successful.
And competition.
And you shouldn't have to wait. And I'll go back to Coach Johnson.
Right.
He didn't wait for his back to get to the wall
That's right.
before he did that. So this shows that they have the coaches that can do it. Mm-hmm. They have the players that can do it. It's just about how you go about coaching it now. So if it took Mike McCarthy this one game to say, hey, Kellen Moore, we got to be more aggressive. We have to do this. Well, let's do that every week if we need to.
Yeah.
Let's do what we got to do to get the guys to play because that is the standard there. Standard.
You know, it's wild. Mike McCarthy, going to this game, another thing I was thinking about, Cincinnati would probably give the Cowboys a lot of troubles because whenever Joe Burrow would have multiple turnover games, he was like 5-1 in his short career.
Right.
Well, Mike McCarthy was also 5-1 when he lost the season opener.
Right.
He's now 6-1.
Right.
So that's coaching right there. He knows how to step up his coaching game
Absolutely.
as well. You bring up Jimmy. Back when y'all were playing, Jimmy had waves of defensive linemen coming in and out of the game.
He started that. He started that.
It was, he always have a lot of fresh guys.
Yes.
They got a defensive line this year. It seemed like they got waves of guys attacking the quarterback. Can you talk about the Cowboys' defensive line this year?
You know, and the thing that hurt them was those waves didn't play right on the edges against the Bucs, but they played better on the edges against Cincinnati. So and I talked to Leon Lett, man, and he's liking what Bohanna is doing. He's liking what Osa is doing. And he's loving it.
Dorrance Armstrong?
Yeah, and he's loving that Dorrance Armstrong is finally finding his sea legs. It's all about when Charles Haley came, and we talk about the standard, Charles Haley lifted us. You know, we were confident, but we got almost cocky on defense. I mean, even Larry would kind of come at you sometimes. Larry was the calmest dude on the team.
Right.
And so this standard is raising. I'm telling you, if you got any, you know, if you can drop them, you know what I'm saying? If you got any of those, it ain't going to be Micah Parsons every week.
Right.
It can't be him every week.
Right.
You know? I want to say it was Nate, too. When you talk about people stepping up, Charles Haley gets a lot of credit.
Yeah.
But what people don't know is 2 years in a row that Tony Tolbert was our defensive MVP.
Yeah.
Yes,
So Tony's bringing it as well every play. Quiet beast.
My roommate.
That's right. He sure was.
And why do you think Charles Haley loved Tolbert?
Yeah.
Because he understands that guy over there is also helping my job because you just, you had to account for him as well. Wasn't no double team. You had to account for him as well.
Yeah.
But that's the pride in the next man up. Noah Brown's done a good job with it. Cooper Rush done a good job with it. And I love seeing guys say, okay, this is my opportunity. Go be great. Go show them that you can be the next star. So, good start from Cincinnati. Let's keep it going.
Speaking of stars, we got to give a shout-out to one of the big stars of the game. We talk about Micah. We talk about Trayvon Diggs. We talk about Cooper Rush. We even talked about C.D. Lamb and Tony Pollard. Money Mayhire. We calling him Money now because Brent Mayhire, he done kicked the game-winning field goal. He kicked the only field goal in the game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We brought him back. He can kick the long ones. Right now, he hasn't missed an extra point or a field goal. Can you give him his props?
Yes. Hey man,
Brent Mayhire.
When you become
Money Mayhire.
When you become street legal, that means when you come off the street from working,
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
From being whatever other legal job he had.
Yeah.
This is I love it. And then he understands who he. You saw his interview after the game. He understands.
I talked to
the guy's
him
been out there for 60 minutes. Great this, great that. He said, my job is to kick him in.
Yep.
And when you focus in and laser focus as a kicker, you don't care what's going on. My job, and a lot of kickers don't like for you to say, hey, man, all you got to do is kick the ball through the uprights. But that's what he's basically saying. My job is to get it through the uprights.
Well, he did a great job. Now, on the other end, the kickoff returner, the punt returner, he went to your school,
That's
TCU.
right, baby.
We talking about Turpin
Turpin,
time.
baby. Turpin's
we talking
bad
about
boy.
Kevontae Turpin. Can you talk about him? Now, Tampa game, he didn't really get no opportunities. This game, he actually helped the Cowboys on their last drive.
Yes, he did.
Well, the interesting thing about this subject is how do you win? And there's 3 phases, offense, defense, special teams.
Correct.
In today's game, I've seen a lack of commitment to special teams. So for the Cowboys to bring in a good kicker and to add a guy like Devontae Turpin who can –
MVP of the USFL.
They're committed to special teams, okay? So I hate talking about Jimmy, but Jimmy was absolutely committed to special teams.
In fact, he made Joe Avezzano the first special teams coordinator.
That's correct.
It wasn't just the coach. He made him the coordinator.
So when you look at Cincinnati, there was a time where guys going to kick extra point, you have to worry about it. Do you know how many guys miss extra point, not field goals, extra points in the NFL now? So for the Cowboys, I want to give Jerry and those guys credit, McCarthy, for making a commitment to bring in a kicker and to bring in Turpin, that, hey, special teams is now important to us. So if we can play good defense, if we can run the ball and play good special team, we got a chance and not turn it over. We can beat a lot of people.
I'm trying to remember something here. Now, I'm not trying to age me, you, or LB, Nate, but I mentioned Turpin was the MVP of the USFL. Didn't you play in the USFL back in the day?
I'm an alumni. I'm an alumni of the USFL, man.
Who did you play for?
Leagues. I played for the Tampa Bay Bandits.
The Bandits, baby.
Look out. And who was your quarterback? Was it Steve Young?
No, Steve Young's with the Express.
Okay.
I had Dan Reeves, man, old dude from not Dan Reeves, but I can't think of Mr. Reeves' name. He played quarterback for the
back in the day.
For the University of Florida.
It came full circle, didn't it?
I'm telling you.
That right? Wow. Steve Spurrier was my coach, though.
That's what he is.
Yeah.
The
Steve
ball
Spurrier,
coach.
yeah, the ball coach. Yeah.
The ball coach.
Yeah.
Man, let me tell you something. The Cowboys got that victory. Like I said, surprised a lot of people, which sets up a great game, a division rivalry, the first division game of the season. The Cowboys go up to the Meadowlands to take on the Giants. We got to talk about the Cowboys versus the undefeated Giants next here on Cowboys Crosstalk.
Mortgage's Cowboys Crosstalk. Broadcasting live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco.
I'm Chris Arnold, your host this week, along with the star of this show, Nate Newton, and our special guest, Super Bowl MVP Larry Brown. It is a Cowboys Crosstalk on a victorious Wednesday.
Yes.
Wednesday, baby.
Cowboys whooping up those Cincinnati Bengals to even their record at 1-1. SWBC PEO helping to alleviate the HR administration burden that comes with running a business. Leave the worrying to us. Visit swbcpeo.com to find out more. Gentlemen, it just got a little bit harder, but it's funner when you go into a divisional game, a matchup on Monday Night Football, fresh off of a victory. The Cowboys play at the Meadowlands against the Giants. I don't know how the Giants did it. They're undefeated. I could not imagine. Well, are you going to say is it the fact that Saquon Barkley's healthy? Is it the fact that Danny Dimes, they got to carry the load? Is it the fact that the defense is always good? You want to grab this one first, LB?
I think there's a number of things. Got a new head coach.
Yep.
Who's been around.
From the Buffalo Bills.
Diebold been around for a while. Saquon's healthy. A number of other guys are healthy. Daniel Jones is healthy. And so they're playing good football. And they beat two good football teams.
Yeah, dogfights.
Yeah, they beat Tennessee. And with a very good running attack with Derrick Henry. And, I think also to win the game, the coach showed a lot of confidence. Like, as you said about that fourth down with Cooper Rush, they said, hey, we're going to go beat Tennessee.
Right.
We're not playing for a tie. We're not going to overtime. So that showed a lot of confidence in that team. So each week they're building a lot of confidence, and they're definitely going to be up for the Cowboys. Giants hate Cowboys. Cowboys hate Giants.
Yes, they do. What do you think, Nate?
They got a super job in trying to get Jones going in the right direction. And we know who Barkley is. I mean, he's everything, and they took advantage of it.
He's the closest thing to Barry Sanders
that
when
you've
he's
ever
healthy.
seen. You've ever seen. Their defense, I think they lost Leonard Williams this last game, so they got a few guys. They got Nick Williams, I think, is the backup, and Davison is another backup. So their defense, but we got to remember now who their defensive coordinator is. Wink.
That's right. Wink Martindale
Wink
for
Martin
the Ravens. From the Ravens.
That's right.
So this is going to be a great game because Coach Kellen Moore is going to have to match wits. Because if he see you do something, he's going from series to series. He's going to change that defense just a little bit. He got a new toy in Julian Love that he brings up and plays in the box. So this is going to be a nice game.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to look at the Giants and say, this is the weakest 2-0 team. But to ask the Cowboy fans, would you be rather be 1-1 or barely squeak out a win and get a 2-0 start? Because it's all about coming. This is another. And people keep getting mad at me. This is our third preseason game for us and the Giants because these coaches, especially coaches, got young teams or teams that's devastated by injuries. They are learning their personnel.
They really
and
are.
It's live bullets, And after they do this and got the Washington the next week, then the coaches has no more excuse.
And the only thing that helps us, don't help. Our first-round pick, Tyler Smith, they won't. I don't believe he's playing. Kayvon Thibodeau, their first-round draft pick, will not be playing this week more than likely because it's injured. But he's a great pass rusher, so they're going to have to make some adjustments as well.
So the Cowboys are 1-1. The Giants are 2-0. It's a Monday Night Football game. You guys have played up in New York on Monday night. What is the atmosphere like? Let's start with you, Nate. What is the atmosphere like? What can the Cowboys expect to go into? How hostile is the environment?
It's gonna be the world because this is what makes me and I think Larry have appreciation for the NFC East. We are the Cowboys. We are the Cowboys, and our hatred for the other East teams will never be what it is against us.
Yeah, they can't stand the Cowboys.
So to us, we go to New York, they say, who you hate the most? The Cowboys. Go to Philadelphia, who you hate the most? Well, we just hate everybody in the East. But we are everybody's else.
You're a villain.
They hate us. I tell this story. It's a funny story, true story, too. We're pulling the Giants Stadium one time, and the buses come to a stop. And I see these four fans carrying a coffin.
Right.
And it's a Troy Aikman doll with a knife in his heart.
Right.
So I'm watching these. We're on the bus, I'm watching them. Then they go to the check-in. They check the coffin like it's a purse, and they let them carry the coffin into the stadium. Because I'm saying, no, they're not going to let that coffin in the stadium. But it's a coffin with a Troy Aikman doll with a knife in his chest. So that's the Giants.
Speaking of the Giants, at that stadium, there was always this rumor that Jimmy Hoffa's body is buried in that end zone. You ever kind of look around there and say, where is that Mafia man's body?
No, man. But that's always been the rumor.
Most of the games we played there, Nate, either decided the division or had major playoff implications.
Yes.
So they were very meaningful games, all of them, when we went down there.
So the Giants are undefeated. Let's look at the division real quick here. The Giants are undefeated. The Cowboys are 1-1. Washington is 0-2.
Right.
And then there's a Philadelphia Eagles that nobody's. Well, I thought they were going to be good. I thought Hurts was going to hold it down. I said he can't be no worse than a bus driver. He got some weapons now. They are really looking good.
Yeah, A.J. Green's been a big addition, and he's come in and made an immediate impact. So with him outside and Jalen Hurts with the ability to use his feet and run, so this division has gotten much better. And regardless of how Washington is, we know that. The year we went 1-5, we'd be Cowboys Washington, so it doesn't matter what their record is when it comes to division and playing the Cowboys.
See, this is what I tell people. Tennessee is like, wow, when we got rid of Brown, it was A-OK. But now Philadelphia, like, are you sure you made the right move?
Yes.
And what I like that what Philly did is they improved the team around their quarterback. And they got a defense. They signed Fletcher Cox back to another year to teach this young kid out of Georgia how to really play this game.
That's a big dude, too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
He's a load.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this team, I think Philadelphia is for real, and the Cowboys got to get for real.
And the Giants got playmakers.
Yeah.
Shepard and the guy Kadarius Toney and Barkley. They got some guys that can make plays. So, yeah, don't sleep on them if they can stay healthy.
So, LB, what's the X factor for the Cowboys? What are they going to have to exploit to try to get a victory out of that stadium?
I say three things. Good special teams. We got to make kicks, and we got to be able to get some return yards. Play good defense, right? On offensive side, don't turn it over. You don't have to turn it over. Cooper Rush doesn't necessarily have to win it. More so, they doesn't have to lose it.
Gotcha.
Don't give it to them. I think they got a chance to win the game.
When you go on the road, especially within your division, there's three things you always have to do. Larry named one, special teams. You have to play lights-out defense, and you have to have some semblance of a running game.
Run the football.
Some semblance of a running game. Now, can Coach Kellen Moore match with Coach Wink?
That's right. Wink Martindale.
And that takes pressure off Cooper Rush to say, hey, you don't have to throw it 50 times.
Right.
If we can get you between 20, 25 throws, run that ball, not turn it over, you got a chance.
I think the running game is going to be key, too. And what I like about the running game is not only has we finally seen some Tony Pollard this season in this second game, but Zeke is not hurt. Everybody knows from like October on last year, he was out there with one leg. And even with one leg, he had 1,000 yards. He won 7 backs at 1,000 yards. I think Ezekiel Elliott's going to be good enough to do what he needs to do to help them dominate the clock. I think time of possession is going to be a key as well. And for the Cowboys defensively, do the Giants have any solutions for Micah?
No, they got a nice left tackle. The young Evan Neal at the right tackle is getting better. But this type of speed, nobody can adjust to.
There's a solution, but you may not want to do it.
Right.
You may do some max protect, keep a back in, but those guys aren't out in coverage now. So, now you got to win one-on-one out here. But outside of that, no, I don't think so.
I'm going to tell you like they did in Top Gun, like they told Maverick. I feel the need.
I feel the need.
Need for speed.
Need for speed.
Yes.
Speaking of the Cowboys defense, I have a fear that the Cowboys run defense is real. They're not the best of the best. Saquon Barkley is so shifty. Could he be the X factor in this game? How well he plays. Because it's not like we got some great run defense.
It's interesting. Saquon's bring a little bit different element from the first two. Mixon from Cincinnati and Fournette from Tampa are big backs.
Right.
You're getting a little speed guy now that if he hits that corner, he can go. Right. So it's going to be a different challenge for us.
Give me a prediction, final score.
I say Cowboys 28, Giants 21.
Nate?
All I need is 1 point. That's all I need. I don't care how you want to mix it up. At the end of the game, 1 point.
The Cowboys will win this game 4-3, 2 safeties. 28-21. I'm going to take the Cowboys as well. I'm taking the Cowboys 17-14. Thank y'all for being with us on Cowboys Crosstalk. I'm Chris Arnold, Larry Brown, and Nate Newton. So long, everybody.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!